A soft cloud of white smoke rose above the Sistine Chapel. In that single moment, history changed. The crowd in St. Peter's Square waited, eyes lifted, hearts pounding. Then the announcement came. A voice echoed across the Vatican and into homes around the world. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines had been chosen as the new pope. He would now be known as Pope Louis I. This was not just a name change, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, unity, and a voice from the East finally rising to the heart of the Catholic Church. Luis Antonio Tagle was born in Manila, the bustling capital of the Philippines, in 1957. Manila is a city full of life. Its streets buzz with jeepneys painted in bright colors, vendors calling out their wares, and children laughing as they play. Luis grew up in this environment, surrounded by noise, energy, and most of all, faith. Faith was not just something practiced on Sundays, it was part of every day, every meal, every family gathering. From a young age, Luis saw how faith shaped people's lives, and something deep inside him stirred. He was not born into wealth. His family was simple, hard-working, and rooted in love. They taught him values that would stay with him forever: kindness, humility, patience, and respect for others. As he grew, he listened to stories of joy and sorrow from people around him. He learned how life could be both beautiful and painful. And it was through these stories that he felt the quiet pull of something greater, the desire to serve, to help, and to be a light in others' darkness. When he joined the seminary, Luis wasn't just following a path, he was answering a deep call. The seminary was a place of study, but also of growth, of discovery, and of testing one's soul. From the start, Luis stood out, not because he tried to, but because of how he treated people. He didn't talk over others, he listened, he didn't rush, he took time. He was a young man full of questions, but also full of love. His teachers saw it. His fellow seminarians saw it, even strangers saw it. In 1982, he was ordained a priest. That day, he didn't just receive a title, he accepted a life. As Father Tagle, he entered into people's lives in their most important moments: baptisms, weddings, funerals, and quiet prayers. He became a friend to many, always showing up with a calm spirit and a listening heart. People felt safe around him. They trusted him. He wasn't just a priest behind a pulpit. He walked with the people, laughed with them, cried with them, and believed in them. As the years went by, his role in the church grew. He became Archbishop of Manila, a major position in a deeply Catholic country. But power never changed him. He still visited poor neighborhoods, still sat with children, still listened to the elderly, and still smiled with the same humble joy. People didn't just respect him, they loved him. They called him Cardinal Tagle, a nickname that felt like family. Wherever he went, children ran to hug him, and elders asked for his blessing. He made everyone feel important. He made everyone feel seen. But his heart was never limited to the Philippines. He saw pain in other parts of the world: poverty, hunger, injustice, and he wanted the church to do more. As president of Caritas Internationalis, a global charity that helps the poor, Cardinal Tagle worked to bring aid and attention to places others had forgotten. He didn't speak loudly, but his message was powerful. Help the suffering, walk with the poor, be present where hope is fading. He also shared a deep connection with Pope Francis. The two leaders dreamed of the same kind of church, one that doesn't shut its doors but opens them wider. A church that does not sit on a throne but walks alongside the people. That friendship was built on shared faith, shared vision, and shared love for those at the edges of society. So when the time came for the cardinals to choose a new pope, many of them remembered the example Pope Francis had set, and many looked to Cardinal Tagle. The day of his coronation as Pope Louis I was filled with emotion. Inside St. Peter's Basilica, history was unfolding. The grand church was filled with cardinals in red robes, their faces a mix of pride, hope, and prayer. World leaders, clergy, and believers from all over the world had gathered to witness the moment. The basilica glowed with golden banners, candles, and flowers. Incense rose like gentle clouds, filling the air with a sacred scent. Ancient hymns echoed through marble walls, Every detail spoke of tradition and the hopes of millions. Then, from the grand balcony above St. Peter's Square, he appeared. Pope Louis I, in simple white robes, stepped forward. The sun caught his garments, making him shine like a beacon. He lifted his hand in a gentle wave. His face was calm, kind, and full of peace. In that moment, he was no longer just a cardinal from the Philippines. He was the voice of a global church. He was a symbol of unity, compassion, and new beginnings. When he spoke, the world listened. His words weren't complicated. They were simple, clear, and full of meaning. He talked about love, about caring for others, about being one human family. He called for peace and reminded everyone that real strength is found in service, not in being above others, but in standing beside them. He reminded the world that the church should be a place for all, for the rich and the poor, the lost and the found, the joyful and the hurting. He wore the fisherman's ring, a symbol of his role as the successor of St. Peter, the humble fisherman, chosen by Jesus to lead. But the ring was more than a piece of jewelry. It was a promise to reach out, to care, to guide. It was a reminder that he was now a shepherd to the world, that wherever people were suffering, he would go. Wherever hearts were breaking, he would be there. Back in the Philippines, the joy was overwhelming. Their beloved Cardinal Tagle had become Pope Louis XIII. Churches were filled with people praying, crying, and singing, streets lit up with fireworks and celebration. For a nation that holds faith so close, this was more than history. It was personal. It was family. The people were not just celebrating a pope, they were celebrating one of their own. And it wasn't just the Philippines. All across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, people celebrated. These were regions where Catholicism had grown but had often felt left out of leadership. Now they saw themselves in Pope Louis I. He was a voice for the global South. He understood their struggles. He shared their stories. He gave them hope that they too belonged at the center of the church. Messages of congratulations came from around the world. Presidents, kings, and religious leaders sent their best wishes. But the messages that mattered most came from everyday people. They said things like, "We finally feel seen. He understands us. We believe again." It was not just about having a new pope. It was about what he represented: compassion, unity, and a new beginning for a church ready to embrace everyone. Pope Louis I stands today not just as a religious figure, but as a light for humanity. He is a man who leads with his heart, who listens before he speaks, and who never forgets where he came from. His journey from the noisy streets of Manila to the balcony of St. Peter's is more than a personal story. It's a reminder of what faith, kindness, and service can achieve. In a world filled with noise, he brings silence and understanding. In a world filled with division, he brings unity. In a world full of power struggles, he offers humility. Pope Louis XIII has not just stepped into history, he has stepped into the hearts of millions. And as he walks forward in his new role, the world watches with hope, believing that under his gentle guidance a better and more loving world is possible. He is not just the pride of a nation, he is the hope of a church. He is the voice of the voiceless. He is Pope Louis I, the first Filipino pope, and a beacon for a new dawn in the story of faith.